All right, show of hands. Who has found themselves in a conversation completely tuning out or thinking of something completely unrelated to the conversation that your partner is having with you? But then if I asked you, hey, are you a good listener? You'd probably say, absolutely, I'm a great listener. So today I want to talk about 5 common mistakes that we make when listening that absolutely will hinder your communication in a relationship. That's today on Relationshots. Welcome to Relationshots. My name's Eric Wooten. If this is your first time hanging out with us, welcome to the place to get practical relationship advice that actually works in your relationship. So if you've not already done so, go ahead and click the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss upcoming videos. All right, we've all been there. You're stuck in a conversation that you don't want to be in. You're wondering how long this conversation is going to keep going on. You're nodding your head on the outside while on the inside, all kind of crazy answers coming up in your mind. You think that you're fooling the other person into thinking that you're really engaged in it, but they know full well you have zero desire to be in the conversation and it never goes well. So here's the reality of communication. Communication is not just about what you say and how you communicate. Great communication also involves you being a good listener. There's more to it than just the words you say. Can you sit and listen and address what the other person is saying to you? And I've found that in our lives, there's often mistakes that we're making as listeners that are preventing great communication in our relationship. So today, I want to address 5 common mistakes that a lot of us make in communication while trying to listen, in hopes that we can eliminate some of these and take our communication to the next level. So number 1 is real simple: don't interrupt. Right? When the other person's speaking, avoid the temptation to jump in and interrupt them. If you interrupt them, it's not going to go well. But part of the problem is we don't always know why we interrupt. And you have to identify why you're interrupting if you're going to stop interrupting. So are you just impatient? Is that why you interrupt? That may be one cause. Do you think that you know where they're headed and you just want to hurry up and finish the conversation for them? You're making assumptions. Maybe that's why you interrupt. Maybe they said something that you don't agree with and you feel like you have to jump in and correct that wrong, because if you don't correct the wrong, they're going to assume they're right and they're going to keep going. Whatever it is, maybe you just don't value their ideas and so you don't mind interrupting. But if you don't know why you interrupt, you're going to keep interrupting. So I would encourage you to address why you're interrupting so you can step back on that. And then as the other person's talking, take a mental note of whether it's the wrong or something you need to come back and address, or take some written notes or even notes on your phone so that you can let them finish without interrupting. And then you can come back with your response. So number 1 is don't interrupt. Number 2 is don't deflect. Deflecting is simply changing the direction of the conversation. Now, some of us, the reason that we deflect is because we don't really want to engage in the conversation the other person's bringing up. So we deflect so that we don't have to actually engage in their intended purpose, right? They may have come to us with a frustration or a grievance about something, and we really don't want to address it or deal with it. So we'll change the topic, we'll shift the spotlight off of us, we'll start going down a different road. It's like some Jedi mind trick where we're going to deflect and detract from what they're trying to do so that we don't have to address the issue that they're bringing to us. But over time, that's going to cause bitterness and frustration for them because they can't actually bring anything to us. So number 2 is don't deflect. Number 3 is don't blame. Blame is just really your counterattack. So they bring something to you, and instead of listening to what they bring to you, you want to attack them back. So they say something like, I don't really like it when you talk down to me or criticize me, and you say, well, you do it to me too. That's blame. Or maybe they come and say, hey, I don't appreciate it when you yell at me. And you say, well, the only reason I yell at you is because you push my buttons and you're always nagging on me and you're not listening to what they're bringing to you. And instead of validating their experience, you're blaming them and counterattacking and saying, basically, don't bring this to me because I'm going to blame you for why I did what I did. You're not listening. Number 4 is don't try to persuade. Oftentimes when somebody brings something to us and either we don't agree with what they're bringing or we don't like the direction that the conversation is going, we may try to persuade them that what they think is going on is not really going on. It's a little bit of manipulation. So they may come to us with something and say, hey, when we were out with friends last night and you started joking and kind of making fun of me, that was really embarrassing, and I'd appreciate if you didn't embarrass me. To which you respond, oh, well, everybody was kind of joking and I wasn't trying to embarrass you, so you shouldn't feel embarrassed. I don't think anybody else really thought that you looked embarrassed or was thinking anything different of you. We were all just joking together. And you're just trying to persuade them that the experience or what they're feeling that they're trying to share with you is not something they should have experienced or felt. So you're persuading them out of what they really experienced and basically saying to them, listen, what you thought you experienced is not real and you need to rethink this idea. You're persuading them out of what they believe into what you think they should believe. So don't try to persuade. And number 5 is don't excuse. Listen, nobody likes an excuse, no matter how valid or legitimate it may seem, it's still an excuse. So it don't matter how tired you are, how hungry you are, how bad of a day you had at work, or how the change in weather gave you a headache, or blah, blah, blah. It's still an excuse, and nobody cares about your excuse. You know the saying that excuses are like armpits. Everybody's got them, and they all stink. Or I think that might be opinions. But anyway, you get the point. Nobody wants to hear an excuse. An excuse is your attempt to say, listen, I'm not taking ownership for this thing. I'm putting it back on you. I have a reason for why this happened. When I got off the phone with you, someone else called right away, and that's why I forgot to pick up your prescription. Listen, nobody needs to hear the excuse. You take ownership and responsibility for what the other person is bringing to you, and you do it without making an excuse. So listen, there's just 5 mistakes that we all make in listening and conversation. But guess what? These 5 mistakes all have something in common. They're all about you, the listener, not about the speaker. And anytime you try to make a conversation all about you, whether you're the speaker or the listener, that's going to erode trust in the relationship. Listen, if you don't accept responsibility, you're never going to build trust in a relationship. And trust is required in order to resolve problems in the relationship. So listening will help you build trust, which will allow you to solve problems in the relationship and move on down the road. These 5 mistakes will keep you in a place of poor communication. Eliminating these will move you into a place of great communication. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below, and maybe some other mistakes you know that you make as a listener, so we can all learn from one another. If you think this was helpful, consider sharing it with a friend, and I'll see you right here next time on Relation Shots.